Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Smile and Love. Today, I'm joined with some very, very special people. I'm actually excited to do this episode because these are some of my favorite people in this place. And we are speaking about a topic that I think is very influential to most of us. I think it's a topic that a lot of us young people are going through, and that is the topic on trauma, how to deal with trauma, everything trauma related. We're talking about it today. And so I'm going to allow our guests to introduce themselves, and then we can kick it in. I'm excited. Let's talk about it. Next to me, I think I'll start from they're all to my left. Start from there, and then they can go. So please.
I'm Geoffrey from Ghana. I'm actually a postdoctoral researcher here in Jinhua and part of the ICF family also. I think I've also had my fair share of the whole trauma issues, so we'll get to that in a bit.
We can't wait. We can't
I
wait.
can't.
Shoma, you look traumatized.
The video.
Very traumatized.
Yeah.
Okay, it's me now. My name is Shoma. I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm happy to be here. Okay, I've been traumatized before also, and I'm happy to share what I think it helps to help someone out there. See you soon.
Thank you.
See you where?
See,
I love
When I'll be sharing.
Okay, so I'm Terrence, or most people call me Terry, yeah. And I'm Ghanaian. I'm also Ghanaian, and I'm married to one beautiful lady called Komana.
from which country?
She's from Zambia, actually.
Indeed.
Yeah, so I'm in an intercultural relationship, and yeah, I'm also a PhD student in education. So I think I've not had like that deep trauma like these guys are talking, but I hope we'll see. Let's see where it goes.
All
Let's see
right.
where it goes.
All right. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I'm actually very happy that we could be in this place again talking about this. I think we've had a lot of off-camera interactions, and I think there is a lot that we can all contribute to this. We've gone through our fair share of trauma, relationship wise, just being an African on its own, you know.
That's trauma.
We've got traumatizing parents here and there, relationships, and so I think I would want to start by asking, what would you define as trauma? Because I think these days that word is thrown around everywhere without an actual meaning to it. Everybody wants to, I've got trauma. So what would you categorize as trauma?
Well, I would say that personally it's an unimaginable experience kind of. It's more like, funny enough, we don't plan for them. I feel like there are situations we find ourselves in, we are not prepped for, we are not prepared for, we don't see them coming, they just hit us. And then funny enough, they leave these kind of scars on us. And then going forward, we find it very difficult, like going to such situations again, because it was an unfortunate event. And these things, for whatever reason, makes us it shapes us to think and behave and act in a certain kind of way, most often than not in a very negative way. Yeah, I mean, that was my experience. That's what I felt. I mean, from a layman's perspective, I would say that that is what trauma to me stands for. Yeah.
I can see, like you spoke about, like scars.
Exactly.
They affect how you behave,
Exactly.
how you respond to certain
To certain
things. Right?
stimuli, and then it's more like it pulls in some kind of trigger effect whenever you find yourself, I mean, envisaging that you are entering into another situation like that. Yeah.
I see. Do we feel like there is maybe something that we need to add on to that, or is our professor has defined it?
Yeah, I think something about traumas is like this kind of situation, like what you say, triggers. If it triggered, it send you back to that place that you've thought that you have healed from. So it's like a wound. Me, I take it as a wound. Like maybe you feel like it's healed, But when you are triggered, you realize that you
You still have that scar. You have not
still
fully
that
healed.
it's still a wound.
So, if I would ask, I think I had a conversation recently where someone said, if let's say you go through something and it doesn't leave a scar, you cannot really consider it as trauma. Say if you are my sister, our father beat us. Say it never left a scar on you, but it left a scar on me. Would you still consider that to be a traumatic thing on your life if it hasn't left a scar?
Yeah. If it's something that mentally, if I think about, I feel hurt about it, it's a trauma.
Even if it does not influence your actions, say, so to say.
And I also think that scars that I mean they don't necessarily need to be physical in nature. I mean we have got mental scars. We can have emotional scars as well. It's not necessarily I mean hitting you with something or trying to make a physical causing a physical hurt, but then I feel like it could come in varied forms. So it could be emotional, it could be mental, it could be I mean whatnot.
I understand. The thing that I also want to find out about is, do you feel like many of the things people consider to be trauma these days is actually things you can consider as trauma? Or do you feel like many of the times people hold on to things they are not supposed to be holding on to and call it trauma?
I mean, I'll go the hard way. Come on.
Yeah.
There are certain things that, I mean, are quite simple, but due to a whole lot of factors like my rights, my this, like, we've been pampered so much. There are certain things that you're not supposed to hold on to so much. Now, we term it as trauma. So, so like from what everyone was saying, is like, trauma is that thing that you've not healed from. If you've healed from something, you can remember it, yes, but it won't trigger you to make decisions, like certain decisions. So because they've not healed from certain things. And like back to this thing, people really, I don't know if they just like to enjoy the word like I'm traumatized. Like it's just like one of those things. Now we've taken negativity to be the usual, like a new norm.
Something you want to
associate we want to
yourself
associate with. So I mean, my mom beat me. I do remember, but I'm not traumatized. Someone say my mom beats me and I'm traumatized. It's just like this whole modern thing. Then come on, those were corrections. Does correction make you traumatized? No. But we are now taking everything in a negative aspect and we are classifying it and giving it all sort of big names, trauma and all these things. So for me, it's a no for me.
I think we should be able to differentiate between trauma and mental health. Some people are not mentally stable and they are now turning it to be a trauma. That is your mentality issues that you have to deal with. It's not trauma. Nobody's traumatizing you. Maybe you're traumatizing yourself, maybe.
I get it.
Yeah, like she said, your own mental health will cause you trauma. So now it's not being caused by what someone has done. It's probably caused by your insecurities. So you end up feeling traumatized by your own self with the way you think. And you end up putting the blame on others, or on the situation. That makes it like traumatizing.
Oh, so if I get it clearly, the same way that the trauma word has been growing in popularity, I think from what you've said, I think I can also put a correlation that mental health is also growing in popularity. So is it somehow synonymous that the more that people are talking about mental health issues is the same way that trauma is attached to it? You get it?
Exactly. It's like now the fact that I'm not mentally stable, then I say, oh, because I'm not mentally stable, I'm traumatized. Or some people don't even know, like, I'm actually not mentally stable. They will just say I'm traumatized. Like, I can take an example of we being in China here, right? You can be very mentally unstable because of even when you go downtown, how the Chinese will take pictures of you and all that. Someone will come back and say that, oh, I was traumatized by the way they took pictures of me. So if I'm going downtown, in my head, like I'm just mentally not stable, like ready to go downtown. Then we turn it, I'm traumatized going downtown. Come on, that's not it. You know. So our mental health is, yes, it's not there. And then we turn it the other way as trauma.
I agree. I agree. Okay, let's say I think maybe at this point we do agree that there's a lot of people who unnecessarily call things trauma.
Exactly.
I think we agree.
Yeah.
If we had to bring it back to, let's say, people who are facing actual trauma, I think from what I've heard so far, we have all termed it as something that maybe has affected you to a point where you have not healed. If you heal from it, would you still call it trauma? Or trauma is an unhealed scar?
Well, I don't necessarily, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's an unhealed scar. I think it's, so for us, it's, you have the memory of an event where you feel like led you to a certain kind of dark part of you. And then anytime that you thought about it, it's brought these kind of negative memories, irrespective of the fact that you have healed from it or not. I think we can still term it trauma. I mean, of course, people, in my case, let's say I was in a relationship and then it didn't end too well. Now, because of that event, it became very difficult for me. I mean, having even female friends around. Now, the fact that I'm able to have other female friends around and still feel okay does not necessarily mean that that wasn't some kind of trauma to me. It was. And even as of now, there are times that I get trigger effects with other female friends being around me. So I think that whether it's something I've moved over or something that I'm still trying to heal from, it should still be considered like it's a trauma. I mean, the event was an unfortunate one. We agree on that. But it's not something that brings smiles to my face whenever I thought about it.
So I would say, do you still have trauma? Say, now that you are able to have female friends, could you still classify yourself as someone who has trauma?
Well, I wouldn't say I have it, but then if it's brought certain triggers, even though probably I might not respond to it as I used to respond to, then I would still say yes.
Okay, I see. So,
But from what he's saying, I honestly do totally agree and everything. But the whole point is, let's there are certain things. It's like it was traumatic, or he had that trigger effect most of the time. But he's no longer responding to it. So yes, it was termed trauma then. But now if you remember, you are not traumatized by it.
By
It's just
it,
a
kind
scar.
of.
So yes, it's a scar. Like a scar is already healed. But so anytime you see it, you remember, but you won't respond like he said. I won't respond like I would have responded.
I see.
You know, so sometimes let's put some of the things back. You know, like, I mean, it was a trauma, yes, but now it's no longer a trauma. Maybe it's a bitter experience. It's something I experienced before, and then it wasn't too nice. You know, it's just a bad memory. But I wouldn't say it's a trauma. Like, it's still a trauma, but it was a trauma then.
Yeah, I kind of feel like if you still feel like it triggers you to react in a certain way, you're not totally yet healed. You
Okay.
still have some work that you need to be put on.
Okay.
Because I feel like this kind of situation is like when you feel trauma. Sometimes you feel like you're okay until you're triggered. Then you realize that, you still have work here. That's how trauma works.
And I think I fully agree with it. Yeah.
So does trauma ever fully go away?
Well, I'll say yes and no. I think it depends on how you are viewing it. Personally, I feel like it never leaves you. It's like a scar. I mean, no matter how healed you are from that kind of wound, anytime you see it, you might not necessarily feel the pain, but it's there to remind you of something you went through. So I think that it never leaves us. It depends. I mean, we can just ignore it, assume that it never exists, but it's still there.
You just remembered it.
Exactly.
So it's all like the trauma. That's what I said. Like, it's in the past, but it's a remembrance. It's a bitter experience, you know. But I think people can really heal, but it's just going to be a bitter experience.
Sometimes it depends on the depth. There are traumas that you cannot heal.
Exactly. You can't. I'm telling
There
you,
are traumas
that's
you
very
can't
true.
heal. Like,
That's very
for
true.
instance, I'm taking an example for my father. He had some traumas before. When I grew up, like, it was maybe 10, 15 or 20 years, 30 years after the traumas. But sometimes he would just wake up and go and buy blankets because he was traumatized by not being given a blanket in a winter season.
Oh,
So it began with the depth,
Mm,
but it's up to the person.
mhm,
How are you dealing with it?
mhm.
When you feel like you are triggered, you are traumatized that time,
Mm.
what are the steps that you are doing as an individual
Mm.
towards the situation? So
Yes.
there are depth. There are some traumas that you can heal from.
Mhm.
Because there are some traumas which are just imaginable, like you feel like, oh, when you went to your auntie's house, she gave her children more meat and she gave you few meat. Traumatize some people. It's a trauma.
Those ones, I mean, people are just sweet-headed. Can you tell me that?
Exactly.
Come on, those ones are not
Yeah.
drama.
But it is. I mean,
It's trauma.
it's trauma to somebody.
I was young.
Meat.
Yes,
Me-
you'll be
certainly,
young.
it's trauma to
You'll be
somebody.
young. You go to your auntie's house. She gives her children food. She will not give you food. It will be trauma to you. You're still young. You don't understand. But as you grow and learn, you'll be like, it was just meat.
Yeah.
Because now you can afford
You
that
can
meat.
afford it.
You can
Exactly.
afford it yourself. Like, it was meat. And you look at your auntie. Her life is not even.
And it's very true.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I was once sent by my auntie to get a crate of eggs. And then coming, I was just speaking around and then I crashed the whole thing. When I went home, the knock that woman gave me. And I remember the very first time I had money to buy my own crate. I remember the whole time, I'm like, really? So I could afford this and I received a knock for it. And that is trauma in essence. Yes.
Trauma.
So I just go to the market now like this and I just buy maybe 2 or 3 crates and I just come home with it. Just because I remember something that was an unfortunate event.
So would I say trauma is not necessarily the event, but the effect it has on
Exactly. I mean, I agree.
The effect.
101.
Okay.
101%.
Or maybe it can be both for certain situations. Maybe some situations are definitely traumatic. Say a car accident, anyone will get traumatized by that.
Not anyone.
Oh, really?
Oh, well, I remember.
Witnessing someone dying will be
Surely, of
traumatic
course.
to others.
I mean, I think that
Having a body viewing
Yeah,
will
Sure.
be traumatic to
I
others.
think-
Yeah.
I think maybe I'm different.
well, maybe I think no, I agree with you to some extent because I've been on a head-on collision with a car with a motorbike.
Oh,
Yes, and then after I came out from like the emergency ward, I mean, people around me were like, no, you don't need to use a bike again. Don't try it. But funny enough, I have this kind of, like magnet attraction that keeps on pulling. So people are thinking that it's not something you should do, but I also find some kind of joy going there. I mean, I remember I was in a discussion with her and I told her that I wanted to get a motorbike, and then she goes like that. Okay. In my mind, yeah, joking, I'll still get it.
Like,
So-
I feel like what really disturbs, the trauma that really disturbs is the mental one. That's what creates, like, I mean, the physical, and then if whatever thing you call a trauma should create a mental effect in your life, that's where you have difficulties in actually,
like
how do you call it? You just
I mean, it's
recovering
from the whole thing. Like,
so I think it's more of how mentally it affected you.
like how deep
That's
it
why
was.
how deep, how. So
And did you
I think
deal-
trauma will now be more mental. That's why some people have strong mental health. Certain things just don't move them. Like,
They're easily triggered.
And I think others too have to do with when the event happened, the people they surrounded themselves with or had around. If I think you have a strong support system in times like this, it really heals. I mean, in my case, I had friends who understood me from my point of view that, this is your first time you are going through this. To them, they had been through multiple breakups, like they have had their hearts broken, they are breaking other people's hearts. It was normal to them. So it was normal to them. And here we were, the novice, and then we were just in that case. It was that hard. I remember I became suicidal. I had a lot of these negative thoughts. But then I think I went through the shortest possible time because I had people who understood my situation. They had been there. So it's also helped in my healing process much faster than I would have envisaged if I was on my own. Because at the point, I think I locked myself up. I didn't want to deal with anybody. And which was a really bad move, actually.
which actually brings me to my next question. How then do people heal from trauma? I think you've mentioned you had a good support system,
Yes, I think it's very necessary. Good support system. And then I think we also have to get to a point where as individuals, we need to understand that there are times that people are not going to be there for us. We need to be there for ourselves. I mean, you to like look down within you and then try to tell yourself that no, nobody's coming to save you. You are just your own saving grace. And I think that was something that helped me in my case, because I realized that okay, where I've gotten to, it's that bad. And I think at other times, certain trigger effects too from the effect we are having on other people also played a major role. I remember within a week, my family doctor called me and told me that, you know what, your mom has been rushed to the hospital like the third time in the week. Yeah, somebody who was not suffering from pressure. Her blood pressure has risen from a normal 80 to like 250. Yeah, so he was very clear with me that, you know what, if you don't hold yourself up, the next time you hear is that you are coming home to bury your old girl. So that in itself was like a wake up
Will
call.
force you to
I'm
wake
telling
up.
you, it's cleared like one time like that. So even though I wasn't really like okay within, I was still putting up appearances. And I think, I mean, sometimes we say this, you fake till you make it. So I was living in that state of denial, but I think it's played another role too, helping me heal. Yeah.
You know, he just spoke about the living in a state of denial. You know, sometimes just accept it and heal. Like one other step I always say is acceptance. Let me just accept the fact that my heart is broken. It's okay. Now I just have to move on. That is it. But if you continue to be in that state of, hey, did he really leave me? Did she really leave me? No, I don't believe it. Denial will just, so the more and more you are denying, the more and more it's hitting you up. And then always, me for one, I'm that person. Hey, I will talk. If I'm hurt, those who are close to me know. Yeah, I can just come and talk. Like, it helps me, so I found what helps me, and I do it that way. So probably most people, if it's just talk about the issue. I have guys. I remember sometime one of my friend, my trauma was not even most broken. It was about school. I failed, too bad, and then they started laughing. Like, they kept, like he said, the company. But anytime we spoke about it, they made jokes, and they made like instances that made you know that you are not alone and it is okay. Like, after all, you are not the first, you are not the last. So after accepting, like, I came to accept that what has happened has happened. What can I do? I can't turn it back, but I know I have tomorrow to make it. So I accept the fact. Now look up to tomorrow. Talk about it. Now when I talk about it, I laugh. Talk about it, and then you heal. But if most of the time, if you cover it up too much, that's when the trigger effects, like any little thing triggers it, and then you go back to that state. Yeah. So most of the time, I feel like it's best when you talk about it. That's why he says your association. You have that one friend that you can go and tell every nonsense, and he will just sit down, listen. After you're okay, he will remind you and laugh at you.
Yeah. My dad, he's one of them.
In case you don't have like the surroundings that you trust. For instance, it's not I was not trusting the people around me, but that's my personality. I want to deal with the situation on my own. Like, I really wanna look at myself and really find the places that I feel like I was wrong. And after I realized where I was wrong, one thing that helped is sometimes it's not only like, why did it happen to me? Why? Those kind of questions, they don't help.
Who answer them? If not you, then who?
You answer yourself.
Yes.
It happened to me.
Yeah, why did it happen to me? And you well in that pain, like, why did it happen to me? I didn't deserve that. Those kind of situations.
I mean, who does?
So if you are that person that you don't trust, or maybe you're not able to really share, you're not that vocal person to talk to people around you, it's a time for you to really be stable and try to reflect on yourself. And after reflecting, know that you're not the problem. Even if you realize that you're the problem, work on yourself. If you realize that you're not the problem, move on. I'm not saying going there the next person if it's a relationship.
No, we need to date other people.
No. Some people actually heal from dating.
From dating.
Sometimes,
but it's also very dangerous.
I realized this other celebrity in my country. She said she will move on like Wi-Fi. But now, if we count the kind of marriage that she had left and ended now,
My kind of
we
celebrity.
realize that
From frying
no,
pan to fire.
it's
I'm
not
telling you, it's not about you.
it's not
I mean,
about
it's the
this
connection.
relationship.
The
It's
connection,
about like
the connection is not connected.
yes. First thing about trauma is for you to realize that you are traumatic.
Uh-huh.
I have trauma. You realize that I'm hurt.
So lack of denial.
Like, oh,
Yeah,
don't
some
deny.
people will deny that. No, I'm okay. Like I remember me when the other saga happened. My friend was the one who was more heartbroken. It was now annoying me, so I dismissed her.
Really?
Yeah, I told her leave my house. Point blank, I said, leave my house. Thank God that lady, she's really a good friend. She left me for some time. She went, and I dealt with everything myself. So it's realizing that me, I'm traumatic. I have wounds, like I'm not okay. But other times we are good at faking. I'm fine. I'll find a better person than you. I'll replace you. You better that I'll date after you. You cry.
You rather go for
Realize
Jack.
that it's your loss, not my loss.
Okay.
But it's not about the person who left. It's about you. Because you have a future that you need to secure. You have other people who come into your life. So if you don't deal with this now, you burn other people. And you lose good people because of that.
That's very insightful, to be honest. I think a lot of people don't accept the trauma.
At all.
I think that is the very first point that most of us meet. But I don't think that we don't accept per se, but then we don't get to know that is what we are supposed to do. Because you have all your emotions running around at that particular point that you don't even have the mental state to even think straight. Than accepting the fact that, okay, it's my fault. In my case, I kept asking questions. Because I felt like at a point, this is somebody I'd known for so many years, and then the least I would expect from them was to tell me that this was where you went wrong. And here I was chasing questions, and then I wasn't getting answers to. So it became very difficult for me, because now I was left in this state of denial once again, to just fully accept whether, or just keep on blaming myself that it is your fault. Because anywhere that you turn, that's what everybody is telling you. It's your fault. It's your fault. And then, the brain keeps on playing it to you that it's your fault. So as I said, if I didn't have people around me who actually made me believe that, okay, no, you weren't entirely innocent. But then you can't go on blaming yourself as though that you were the one who caused this whole thing. And that was in itself also another way for me to heal.
Okay, let's say you don't have people around you, and indeed it's not your fault. Because I think a lot of people who have, especially, let me just take it in the space of relationships, for example. If you have relationship type of trauma, you find the pain that you're feeling is caused or inflicted upon you. Say you are in a relationship with somebody, you've done everything you can, right? Obviously, we're not perfect, but let's just put it that way. And you end up being hurt by someone you've known for a long time, and in a way that is unimaginable. You have pain, you can recognize you've got the trauma, but then you are chasing questions like the way, what happened, why me, this, that, and you don't have a support system. Say in your situation, if you didn't have the people around you, what other course of action do you think would have been best? Or from your own experience or experiences, everybody, what would be the best course of action? I want to start without Terry, because Terry has got a strong
Yeah, it's true.
He's got that mentality.
And the sinister part.
No.
I'll eat.
You know,
No,
I wanted to come in on the point where he said, you blame yourself.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Yes, you can blame yourself, but forgive yourself. The fact that you burnt rice doesn't mean you never cook rice. Forgive yourself. We are taught to forgive people. They're like, oh, he hurts me. And you see, the sad thing is, this same person that you are crying over has broken your heart like 3 times. You forgave them. And finally, the issue happened. And you realize that it's your fault. Why won't you forgive yourself? It's okay. I don't know how, but it's hard, yes. But if you don't have the system, like you don't have anything to do. If you look at your tomorrow, will you continue? Can you go into your tomorrow the way you are? No. And so you have to forgive yourself. And then one other thing to have come to realize is that people are self-centered. We are so self-centered that we don't think of, like Shoma said, the next person that we might, unless maybe after that relationship, we want to be a nun or a father. Even with that one, you enter the seminary and you treat people like they are not
humans, yeah.
because of what you think you've done to yourself. So why would you inflict the pain that you've caused yourself on others? I mean, blaming yourself to cause. So I feel like sometimes, yes, you are traumatized, you are in pain or whatever, and it's your fault. Forgive yourself. Just forgive yourself, and then you move. That is it.
But I think I'm happy that you're bringing this one up. In the sense that, I mean, of course, many of us wouldn't think that direction. That you need to forgive yourself first. Myself, I was a victim of that. Because as I said, the only thing I thought about was the fact that it's your fault. It's your fault. I mean, of course, the person wouldn't have just decided to walk away just like that. It took me years to come to that realization that no, I need to forgive myself first and then heal. Else I would have still been that dark place, thinking that don't worry, it's your fault. It's your fault. You caused it. I mean, in my mind, this voice kept on ringing that, yeah, we said with your ex, you are the toxic person.
At the point, no matter how good you are toxic.
You are toxic to somebody.
That's true.
I mean,
yeah, so it's okay.
That's true. That's true.
You can be vinegar. It's okay. It's okay.
Like about what you're saying, like about the actions and like, are you trying to imply about like what makes like what trauma caused you to do or?
If you don't have the support system.
Which one exactly?
Like if you don't have support system.
What do you do?
Oh, yes. Like what other courses of action? Okay, like for example,
Go jogging.
And the funny thing is that you didn't hardly think about some of these things.
Yeah.
But I personally think that the best thing is that, for instance, myself, I locked myself up. But I think
Nature.
in as much as we might have ways of solving this, I mean, apart from the support system, I think time itself would heal you. Yeah. Ultimately, time itself would heal you. I mean, our first course of action will be to lock myself up, depending on which kind of individual we are, our temperament.
Me, I will talk.
We try to hide ourselves. I mean, I'm an introverted extrovert.
Yeah.
So my first point is to crawl into my shell. I don't want to deal with everybody or anybody. And then I think that in itself, it's toxic enough. Because you don't want to talk to anybody about it. You are not sure who is going to be like on your side or who is going to judge you. So it becomes very difficult, just like she was saying. So I think myself, time started healing me, where at a point I just accepted that, okay, let me go out. And just like his case, he would talk to people because of his temperament. So I decided to be around other people. I'll go to the pitch, go and play football even, and I'll come back to my room and still come and cry. I'll still see people and laugh with them. And then in my own shell, I'm still like crying. So I think it's played a major role as well. I mean, ultimately, I felt like time in itself did everything.
I want to give an example of Eddie. Like Eddie. So Eddie, when you watch this, I'm sorry. Okay? But I mean, I just need to use you. Eddie started going to the gym after.
I started going to the gym as well.
You need a hobby.
I was there.
If you don't have anybody, you just get a hobby.
I'm telling you,
Something has to take.
it works like magic. I was in the gym.
It's not, look at Eddie the man.
I was in the gym. And the funny thing, I'm telling you, it's true. I'm telling you, I will go and I'll be given a certain kind of weight.
Yeah.
And then I'll just be doing extra. And then the guys, they'll be like, yo, you're going to tear your muscles. And I'm like, no, you guys, it's okay.
Don't feel anything.
I'm telling you, the mentality. So I remember they were just, I'm telling you.
She's looking at the bottom.
I'm telling you. So they'll just be passing very funny comments like,
She's shaking you.
they'll just be passing funny comments like, idiot, you see what Burkina Faso.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's really true. Like I think that as a person, if those ones who cannot go to gym, and those introverts go out. The most traumatizing situation I had in my life was losing my mom. that day when I heard the news, I went to choir. I didn't tell anyone. I was in choir. No more. The next day, the day of the funeral, the next day, I was in church. Yeah, I was on my phone on Facebook Live. My mom was being buried. Board view, everything. But I realized that staying in my room, that four corners was clouding in darkness. Like I was feeling lost. But just seeing people, it was just magic. Like I'll go to, like I remember my teacher from my college, he told me that, oh, you can have time off. Do you want to go home? I said, no. Like, you can have time off, we'll be checking up on you. I said, no. He said, what do you want? I said, I want to go to class. But Laushi, I'm not stable to write assignments and
That one now. That one.
for you, I couldn't focus.
Milk some advantages.
I'm telling you.
But that was the truth for you.
Yeah.
I couldn't focus. I couldn't focus. Yes, I want to see people. Yeah. I remember my house was just a bed to go and sleep. I'll leave 8 a.m. I'll come there 11:30 when Bayman Gate is closing. I was staying in Bayman.
Oh, really?
I'll be in campus, moving around in campus up to 11:30 because I can't really share. But what are you doing for yourself? Like,
You have to intentionally want to.
be intentional about your own healing. Be intentional. Like, this blame game doesn't help.
Actually,
So leave yourself.
what you said is right. I've noticed a lot of people, especially today, it's getting to a point where some people are starting to love being traumatized,
Exactly.
so
I
that they can
think
be the victim.
the victims.
And we want other people to feel for us
Exactly.
and help for us. But that's not the situation.
And then
It's
social
not
media.
Mm,
Like, I mean,
social media.
like, I mean, you see, what kills us now is even the content we use. It's like everything traumatizing on social media
We love
gets,
attention.
that attention
the
and
likes
that.
and the views. And
Honestly, I feel like healing social media is not important. Social, like, I mean, especially you post something and you get one comment from, you might post a traumatizing story.
Yeah.
You get people who sympathize with
With
you,
you, yeah.
but you get one, just that one. That one will bring everything from here down.
Down. Yeah.
yeah. I
You know,
remember
I mean, the world is getting to that place where it's like
That's
accept, people's acceptance also, and like everybody should understand.
Doesn't hurt.
Sherman, listen to this case,
case,
and then you
yeah.
explain it. Like Ghana will say, like listen to this matter for me,
Yeah.
and then if one
True for
person doesn't
me.
agree, then your so-called trauma will now
just
spike up, and social media in this age, when it comes to healing, doesn't help.
It doesn't help.
As like denial and all those things, I mean, it won't help. Just get a hobby, like she said. Get a hobby. Eddie is now a muscle man. You can play
Figure it
football.
out.
Yeah.
he's a man.
You can, as a lady, you can do a lot of things.
Cook.
This example, what's her name? Adele or Adelaide or this. I never mind how far.
Yeah, Adele.
She won Grammys because of trauma. Right.
Yeah.
There are things in us that actually, like, you need space just to do. So she had all these things, but she was in a relationship and wasn't able to do it. So if you have it, if you like, write your story down. Write it down. It will sell. Sing the song. People will buy. So in that state, just look for something that you can do.
I don't know why I'm just identifying with everything that is going on now.
With me, I was sitting on my bed. I was praying throughout.
No, you're a prayer warrior.
I'm not a prayer warrior.
I don't know. I developed a skill. Yeah, because I learned around that time to, shave my friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was spending my time in the room and then watching YouTube videos so much because I wanted to be off the general social media. So like the IGs and the Facebooks and then because I was seeing certain things that were bringing more the trigger effect.
Yeah.
So I would go to YouTube, watch, and then I learned how to, shave from, I'm telling you. And then I'll do it now and it was really fun. I mean, I remember I was using
You
that
want
more
to-
like a side hustle
Oh.
at a point.
business.
Yeah.
Making money
What
from
you
drama.
want?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because I was with Microsoft in Shanghai.
Yeah.
I'll go from Monday to Friday. Saturdays and Sundays were for my side hustle, like business.
Oh.
Guys are coming for haircuts.
Hey.
But it's coming from the house.
And it was
Oh
weird.
my
I mean, I
God.
tell people this, and it's weird because around that time I never thought. I mean, trauma could just pull out this kind of other side of you that you never even knew. And I think if we pay much attention during that time, it brings certain kind of hidden talent that we had anyway.
Exactly.
I mean, just imagine the COVID. See the trauma it's brought. It was around that time that people realized they could breed themselves, they could sell some kind of food, and then it was that interesting stuff.
Okay,
Yeah,
now
that's true.
that actually makes a lot of sense. So from what I'm gathering, it's how intentional you are.
Exactly.
Firstly,
Oh,
realizing you have trauma, not denying it, and then being intentional about trying to fix or heal from it. Getting out there, doing something to get your mind off it, talking to people,
Forgiving yourself.
forgiving yourself,
Very
forgiving
necessary.
yourself, very important.
Very, very important.
I
Very
think that's the
important.
first thing.
Yeah, I think
should
that's
be.
After realizing
Yeah,
that,
forgive yourself. Yeah.
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 Forgive yourself,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it goes a long way to help out.
What about if the trauma is caused by, let's say, you not forgiving yourself, but if it's you are more angry at somebody else, so much so that when you say you've healed, but you see their face, it takes you back to being traumatized. So would you say, aside from forgiving yourself, you forgive others as well?
I
Of
think,
course.
of course. I mean, yeah, it's
If you say we are Christians, I mean that's the first thing. It says, "Forgive us, even as we forgive those who trespass." Yes, sin was it trespass. Trespass is something else. You know, no, let's say
it's difficult. I mean, I wouldn't deny
very,
it.
very
It's very
difficult.
difficult.
yeah, it's really hard.
But I think, just like we are saying, you have to make that conscious effort to forgive other people. It's like, I mean, I don't know
Intentional.
whether apart from the other effect that it has on us, whether people understand what anger itself does to the physical body. It's, I mean, scientifically, it's really bad for our health. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tell us, Professor.
I mean, trust you me, you can be angry so much that it even affects some of your internal organs.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Trauma, you can cause ulcers.
It's
Really?
yeah, it
Ulcers.
causes a lot. I mean,
Wow.
forget about things like stroke and all that. Yes. And it's like easy, it's like drinking poison and wanting somebody
Someone
else to die.
Exactly.
It doesn't work that way. Because our first point of call is to try to victimize ourselves and then blame other people for the pain that we are going through. But until we come to that realization that, of course, this is yours, own it, and not blame other people. Trust you me, you're rather doing yourself more harm than good. Because I got to that point where I had to accept the fact that I'm not entirely innocent in this thing, and so I can't blame the other party for. And then I should respect the kind of decision that they took. Probably they might have hurt me. It's an unfortunate event, but I can't go on blaming them. I still have a whole life to live. So accept that. Let me forgive you. And then somebody will tell you that the first point of forgiveness is accepting that the person who hurt you is an idiot.
doesn't know.
I mean, I'll keep on telling myself that, the person is an idiot for hurting me.
Yeah.
So let me just sit back, relax, and then try to be a better version of myself.
Oh, okay. There's one thing there's one thing. It's like, how do you put it? Whoever hurts you, the person is chilling.
Yeah, that was one of the points I want to
So
give you.
constantly you'll be mad.
You be
It's
mad.
you.
Constantly you hurt yourself.
The person moved on. He's enjoying
this
This is
it.
just chilling.
That's the one
Trust you
thing
me.
that I told myself.
And I like one thing too. This generation of ladies, they always say they are the trophy. They are the trophy.
They are the
I
prize.
don't have a problem you being the prize. So if you are the prize and someone has said the prize, why are you
Why are
crying?
you crying?
Somebody will come and take the prize.
Indeed.
Encore.
You know, that means you really don't know yourself.
Yeah.
If really you are a trophy, if you're a trophy, you are supposed to be fought for.
Sure.
So if you give it to somebody on a silver platter and the person has left it, Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire will come and play finals for you. So why are you not crying? Why are you not crying as a trophy?
As a trophy.
Everybody say I'm a trophy. But you see the trophies crying.
It's
Trophies don't cry to be
you're
taken.
emotional. You're emotional. Man.
You set yourself apart. We will come and fight for you. We will come. You lost me. Then you lost me, but I'm crying. But I'm the same person saying that you don't know what
You don't know.
you are missing.
You're missing.
That's when you come and taste of the goodness of God.
No.
I need to clap to that one.
So yeah, indeed. So you need to know, if you really know your
Know
way,
your way.
Exactly.
you know, portray it.
You
Portray
are
it.
true though. If you really know your way, sometimes it's like as ladies we don't really know our way. Like even men, we don't really know our way, and we don't really know how God sees us. We don't even understand how God sees us, our way. So at the point of time, you know that this guy was toxic. The relationship is over, but you wanna kill yourself. You yourself, you know that this guy was bashing me left, right, center, but you still feel like I'm hurt, I'm traumatized.
Speaking of that takes me to a trauma I've heard with some of our African sisters.
My friend, you shares no experience.
I agree. Explain.
No, when I explain, you know it's not. There is a certain tribe I've heard. Oh, I'm sorry, my mic. There's a certain tribe that I've heard about where it seems like they consider certain acts of violence against them. Say you are in a relationship with a boyfriend who beats you, and they consider that to be love. And very recently, some people have started coming out and say that's because of trauma. Say you were raised, say Shoma, right? Unfortunately, you're the only lady in this place. So say you were in a relationship, right? Say you're in a relationship with me. In your childhood, you were beaten by your father. Then you come, we're in a relationship, and I beat you, and then you consider that to be love. All right, I've heard those type of things happening where you accept negativity into your life based off of the trauma you have experienced.
I
There are
think
some guys who still beat women now. If you ask them like, but why? She'll be like, even my father was just beating my mother, but she raised us, she's still there with my father.
I think
What about the
the
women?
women,
Because
exactly.
I think that one is bad behavior
Exactly.
from the guy.
They
You
see
see-
the men, they see the father beat the mother, and the mother stayed. And she was still talking good about the father. Like he's a good man, he loves us. So for them, if they are beaten, they feel like, it's normal.
You know,
That's how they grow up.
it's like I've heard that and I understand. It's the thing of the setting in our old
Okay.
in the old generation, how they came up. Our mothers those days always wanted to protect the children.
Okay.
And let me say, my mom, for example, if you don't wish my dad a happy Father's Day, happy birthday, she has big issues with you. Yes. So it's like, no matter how maybe bad the man was, she just didn't want, like, at the end they'll be like, you are the one who has turned my child against me.
Oh, I see.
And then they'll be beating for that. So in order for the children to love, they will just be like, oh, your dad is a good person. Maybe I did this.
Oh, I
And
see.
he
that's
did
what
me.
he did.
So, they take unnecessary blames for it. But in reality, probably
She's
that
not
was,
happy.
yes,
Yes.
she's not happy. You know that she's not happy. But then just because she also wants you to love your father and maybe stay, then, she tells you such stories. I was told of a story of one lady who had a boyfriend and the boyfriend cheated, right? So she told the mother, like, this guy's been cheating on me. And the mother is like, it's okay, you can stay. Men are like that.
Yeah.
She'll stay in a relationship. She broke up with the guy and the mom was upset.
The mom was upset
Upset with her.
for breaking
Yes,
up.
because she's like,
Men
at
cheat,
this
it's
age,
normal.
men will always cheat, just,
normal.
the rubbish people are accepting, or maybe our parents accepting. Some of them are insisting on we accepting. Why is it that when it comes to the good things, rather, we don't accept them and we want to accept? And then, like, the thing of people beating ladies and the ladies accepting it is because we said they've been told. So they've now come to accept it as, okay, he beats me because he loves me, he's correcting me.
My father was still beating my mother, but still
like it's all in the name of correction.
buying my mother cars,
I
so
see.
it's okay.
Yeah.
So
And I don't know whether this generation we just need to understand their thinking pattern or something, because I mean, I feel like these things doesn't really make sense when you think about it. When I was in my second year undergrad, I remember there was a lecture like this, and then there was a conversation around this very same thing, and then one lady just got up, and then she was, like, she was really happy that it had come up. I mean, we felt like that was something negative. I mean, in her case, her boyfriend was also beating her, and she was actually making it synonymous to love.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
exactly. She felt like, no, that shows that he's a man, and then it is my fault, just like we are saying he's correcting me. But we still never understood why. I mean, what on earth would cause somebody to beat you, and then in your mind,
At this
that is
age.
love.
So would we say that's more? It's would you say that's not trauma? It's accepted.
Yeah, it's not,
That's
Well,
not trauma,
I
right? You can't
think-
classify that as
That's
trauma.
trauma.
No,
Well,
because
I think it could be. Let's assume, like, for example, somebody who's been raped and then been forced to believe that if you say it, I'll kill you. Right? Such person grows up thinking that, okay, if somebody does that to me to save my life, let me just keep it to myself and not mention it to anybody.
Yeah, that one
The
is
person
true.
is trauma, is
I think that-
traumatized,
that-
and
that
then
one
that's
is
kind
true.
of acceptance, or more like kowtowing to whatever is happening to her. It's only coming from a past trauma.
I feel like
It's not like it's out of will.
for the rape part, it's like you're traumatized and you're suppressed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you see a man holding you, like, you can just say, "Hi,"
Trigger
you
effect.
jump.
Yeah,
So there are things that triggers you.
that one
But
is definitely trauma.
trauma.
that
Trauma.
But this
Sure.
one is accepting. Like, that's how
That
the
is-
world is.
that's how the
Yeah,
world
it's,
That's
it's,
how
like,
it
it's like they
I
say
still always find
it's
it
like
very
when they
difficult.
say-
I
when
mean,
they say-
accepting that,
when you see when they say all men cheat, why are they not accepting it?
accepting it.
But I mean, we accept, like, there are things that, but most ladies will be like, oh no, not all men cheat, but he beats you. Why is it that, okay, he's a
They can
man,
accept
he's
the
not
beating.
providing, he's not providing, but he's beating you, does he still become a man?
It's
And the ladies sometimes have now become very funny, because I saw this on social media and Instagram. The lady was being beaten severely by the boyfriend. And then she posted a video, and boyfriend has beaten me, blah, blah, blah. The following day, she posted another video. He came to apologize with flowers and money.
I saw. I
I
think
think
saw
I
something
also
like that.
saw
Like, I mean, this person doesn't know who she is. And she doesn't have her priorities straight. Just because of the money. You are okay. You come back to us that you came to cry. Oh,
Yeah.
And then people are like, so why did you post it in the first place? He beat you. You came, we're like, leave the relationship, blah, blah, blah. We said all the nice things. And you only come back to spit in our face to make us look so yeah.
Yeah,
So that's accepting.
accepted.
Yeah.
That's not
Absolutely.
necessarily
Yeah.
trauma.
trauma.
Yeah.
Well,
That's-
I think that even that acceptance should come from some trigger.
I don't.
The money is a trigger.
No, sometimes it's
I
not
mean,
like, talking from a woman perspective, how I understood. It's not like it's trigger or it's trauma that is causing you.
to behave that
Sometimes
way.
it's just like, maybe you are lazy.
accepting.
You don't want to work hard. You are weighing the benefits.
Yeah.
Imagine I get a slap, next time a car,
Yeah, oh.
a new e-bike. It's just like,
When you
they say
tell
there's
the other chick,
there's
money
a
comes.
time they said, oh, it's better to cry in a Lamborghini
Oh,
than
yes,
a peaceful Gota.
yeah.
So sometimes
I
I
get
feel it comes from a point of us as ladies. Oh,
Well,
And then like that's this thing she
self
said.
love. You don't want to work hard for yourself. You don't want to work. You just need fasting. So if you are somewhere that you are getting it from, it's okay. Even if there are some pains that are coming through it, you just accept. Like, it's okay.
Well.
All men are like that. Anyway, it's not only, I'm not the only one being beaten.
Yeah, I
And
understand.
then this thing of it's better to cry in a Lamborghini than to. I've come to realize, I think, Geoffrey, we talk about this gender or like this generation, we are all on the defensive.
Everybody, yeah.
Now a normal relationship is have to chop the man's money.
exactly. And then the
And
guy
then the
also
guy is like, I have to sleep with her.
is sharp.
So it's like, if we now feel heartbroken when we didn't chop the guy's money enough, and he broke up with us, or
I didn't get to
we didn't get to do the lady playing, and then she broke up with me, so I spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's like we are all on the defensive. So it makes the hurt more painful, because it's like, I didn't get that. The
Mm.
way I was supposed to chop Terry's money,
Mm.
I didn't get to it, and
Mm.
now he's left me. I'm hurt. He has used me.
Mm.
Who used who?
We
I'm
used
telling you.
ourselves.
Easy.
You know, only because of time. I think since I think at this point we've gone for some time. But I want to just ask one last question, which I think is very important. I think we wouldn't do justice to this topic if we didn't go to this section really quickly. Considering that we are living in a world where we are dealing with a lot of mental health issues and a lot of trauma, people are identifying with trauma, either real, valid, or not. How do you deal with being in a relationship or working with people who are highly traumatized? You know, say they've entered into a relationship, because I think that's one thing that's also very difficult. You know, being in a relationship with someone who's got too much trauma or who's got trauma, it's very hard. So how do you as a partner deal or handle with that situation? How do you handle your partner?
Okay. It's accepting that people deals with their traumas differently. Because at some other point we are coming up thinking that the way I dealt with mine, everyone should do the same. And some of the people, they never gone through that trauma, that kind of trauma. And they are busy judging the person like, oh, she's doing too much. Like last night I was listening to one sermon, which was the lady was preaching about grieving after losing a first child. She said the other lady came to my house and said, you are a pastor now. You were telling other people to keep quiet during crying. Why can't you yourself, you're a pastor. You know the word, right? So it's accepting that people, they pass through that traumatizing situations in different ways. That's their situation. You don't know the impact. You might try to think or try to understand like, oh, maybe, but you don't really feel how those people feel. So it's accepting how people are traumatized and try to understand and give them be a support system. If you don't know what to say to someone who was heartbroken, keep quiet, just be there to hug and cry, and you leave their house. Don't come and say, oh, that guy was not even handsome enough. Why are you crying like that?
And you know, this thing, you know, sometimes I feel like people say it so that you know, like, I mean, you were also maybe in cold stupid.
Cold stupid.
Like, no, I mean, like, we all know, like, maybe, you know, like, sometimes this thing is like Israel. I mean, you know, you were in a toxic relationship. Everybody's talking about it. But you are in denial, you are crying like, he left you. Like, this guy was like in cold stupid.
It's
you
stupid
cry,
fine.
No,
domestic violence beating is okay.
No, that's why we have those people who still not listen to the fact that they were in a
toxic
relationship. You know, like
of course you don't see that you're in toxic until
you are out
you
know the benefits until you're out.
Know.
Then you realize that
you know, if you realize that the toxic relationship stays too long,
because
those kind of people, they end up even getting married and divorced.
We call it the frog syndrome.
The frog syndrome.
Exactly, because we don't know the right timing to leave. I mean, it's like it's an experiment done on frogs. So it's believed that when you leave a frog in a boiling water, it tries to adjust its heat, like thinking that I can stay in that boiling water. It gets to this point where it has lost all its strength, so it now can't leap out of the boiling water, and then it ends up killing them. So it's synonymous to these kind of toxic relationships. Most often than not, these individuals leave only when an external force has pushed them out, or something bad, extremely bad has happened to them. That's when they realize that, okay, I'm supposed to leave.
So coming back to dealing with people with trauma, in the first place, I would have said that don't date anyone who is traumatized.
You just took the wind out of my soul.
Why would
I would have
you
said
be
the
going
same
for somebody who's going to be traumatized? But like you're saying, someone who is not like totally healed. I mean, some of these things you might not know, and there's a trigger effect. That's where you, as a person, you have to now come to find out what caused the trauma. That's why sometimes it's okay for you to ask whoever you want to go out with, like the life experiences. Let's come to understand that maybe this and this and this went wrong. That's what will cause you to understand. And a perfect example is my wife.
Mm-hmm.
It's not traumatic, please.
Mm.
It's she she will text you, hi, good morning. I'm going to shower. After showering, I just came from the shower. I'm going to eat. Like, I'm going to, like, maybe I'm going to school. I just go to my e-bike. I am riding my e-bike.
This one is live
like,
feed.
like, I mean, so I was like, why? Because to me, it's like, you want to go to school, okay, you shower, or when you get to campus, you tell me, oh, I'm in school or something. So she told me, like, whoever she was with formerly, it's like the guy needed every day, like, I mean, even if you cough, I just coughed. Like, I mean, he needed that whole thing.
Yeah.
So, like, since then, I'm like, okay, that is it. Like, maybe it's still there, that she feels that it's necessary to. I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's bad. Because me, I would update that much. Like, I mean, just because we are different people. But then a habit built up because of
accommodating.
Yes, exactly. So, like, you understand. So when she does that, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I come to understand that this is just it.
But initially, on the first
in the first, I was like,
yeah.
what is this?
Too much detail.
Too much. Like, every day, she's coming to visit. I'm at the train station. I just boarded it. Like, I'm checking in. I just boarded. Like, you are coming. Just come. So, like, we spoke about, that's what I'm saying. Like, you speak about, like, you ask questions. It's okay to ask questions. It doesn't make you desperate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you have to understand.
You understand. So when you ask questions, you understand that, oh, this and this and this is why. Or maybe it wasn't said, but the person puts on a certain behavior about why you've never done this before. But why did you do this? Oh, maybe this and this. I didn't want to say it, but this happened. Then you know how to love or deal with the person in that situation. Sometimes I remember I could come and then I'm like, I start talking. My wife will ask me, so do you want advice or you want to be listened to? She's going to understand that sometimes you advise me and it's not advice that I want.
You just want to learn.
So she's come to understand that at a point I need advice, at a point I need just to be listened to. I'll come vent, So that is it. So you talk, know that this and this is what has caused. Then you know how to deal with the person. That is it.
I think they've both said everything. I'll just try to summarize it. I mean, it's coming from two angles. So, first of all, if we have been traumatized as individuals, I think the best we can do for our partners or whoever we want to be, I mean, not necessarily like a relationship, but the people we find around us, is to let them know the past experiences that we've had and how they've had a certain kind of effect on us. I mean, always I would say that one of the very biggest blunders that you will do is to try to get into a relationship with somebody and tell them, oh, I don't want to know your past. I wasn't there. I don't care. So let's continue from where we are stopping from. You're just going to carry baggages. You're just going to let people bleed on you. I mean, for things that you know nothing about. And once we know such people, I mean, of course, in my light, I'm dialect. I mean to transliterate, directly translating. We have a statement that if somebody's weakness or somebody knows their weakness and they share it, that is when people can help them get a remedy or a solution to it. So first, if I know this is my problem and I share it, then you are in a good position to also try not to trigger that kind of effect. Now, at the same time, you must also understand that if somebody has been traumatized before, frankly speaking, it's very difficult to live with them. Only and only if we understand their point of view and then we can deal with it. That is when we can be able to deal with them. So just like they said, accepting the fact that I have a problem that needs to be solved and I coming into the picture is ready to help you solve that problem. I would say, just like he was just about saying, don't even date them. Exit.
They have to first
work on themselves before they can allow another person into the picture. Else, just like she said, it will just be bending each other. I mean, every time. Because the least thing, I mean, I think I had that problem. I used to do it. Immediately I got close to a lady. She just did one or two things and then it triggers something and I quickly tell her, somebody did that thing, and then all of a sudden in my mind, I've made peace with you in my mind. I've moved on.
Delete.
I've already made peace with you in my mind. I've moved on. I don't want you anywhere close to me because in my mind I had not healed, and I was always using like somebody's problems, to measure another's, and then these are two different people altogether.
Okay, so for the people who are traumatized, they definitely have to work on themselves.
Work on
before they get
themselves,
into a
and then
relationship.
you entering into the relationship should understand what you are going in for and be ready to deal with that.
So for the person who's dealing with the traumatized person, they ought to be
And
understanding,
exactly
patient,
know the root of
give
their
them some
problem.
grace as well.
Exactly,
know.
and then you can live with them.
But don't leave God out.
Don't leave what else. I think, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of this trauma, you need Holy Spirit.
Hey!
I'm telling you.
Especially to deal with people, you need the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, you need
Because
it.
on yourself you get tired. Again.
Mm.
For people who are not being in that kind of situation, you see it as petty. But it's not petty. It's
petty.
serious.
It's
It's really serious.
It's a serious business.
So it needs grace.
You need
For-
grace.
Yeah, you need grace.
You need to pray.
You need to pray for them. Like, God, please, you are the one who heal the brokenhearted. Please.
Indeed.
In fact, God will do His part. Before that, they should also do their part.
Of
Yeah,
course.
like, that's why you yourself,
You need to
also
work on
pray
yourself.
for
I think
strength to work on.
Exactly.
most of the time, I feel like we transfer a lot of responsibilities to God.
God.
when we-
He's
So
not
over
by
so
responsibility. It's
Yeah.
I'm saying it to God in prayer.
No.
Work on yourself
Work
by
on
responsibility
yourself.
consciously.
Because even God was
God is suffering.
blessing about
They're like,
people who were working. Like it's about you. Do your work.
yeah,
God
like,
will do the
they
rest.
want somebody that will love them for who they
For
are.
who they
Yeah.
are. No. That
That
needs to remain
statement does not work.
in 2022.
It doesn't still
Take me for who I am.
No, you're messing me up. The lady
Yeah.
has got 3 kids and the guy comes in and the guy's trying to run away. And it's like, you don't want responsibility. Man, how can I
Yeah,
carry
insecure.
responsibility? It's not responsibility.
Yeah,
It's
so-
a burden.
I think you need to know what to solve on your own.
Exactly.
Know what to give to God.
Mhm.
Know how to share with your partner. And then know what to give your therapist as well.
But-
Some people make the
Go for
partners.
therapy.
as
The
the
therapist. And then the partners themselves will be traumatized.
Because
You're
there
just
are some-
repeating the cycle.
there are some things that you went through that if you really comprehend to other people, they'll run. Because they can't deal with
Of
that. Like,
course,
how?
of course.
No, I can't deal with the person who passed through
Yeah.
situations like
It
that.
reminds me, it makes it now a thing of, if you're not careful, people will say gossip. You might tell Geoffrey something. He can't carry it. He also come and tell Terry
Terry
like,
that.
this thing,
This one.
no. And then it's too heavy for him.
I'm telling you.
You know, people's story can traumatize.
I'm telling you, it's
Some
very
people's
true.
trauma can traumatize
It's
you.
very true.
I'm telling
That is why it's important to go to God first. You go to God, you share the heavy stuff to Him,
Will help you work on
and
it.
then He streamlines it for you to be able to share to those that can
be of
manage.
help.
But if you come to us first, we will definitely have to look for somebody else to
share with you.
unload it.
Also unload that burden
You
too.
know. Then it now becomes the whole issue of I told you my story and went to gossip. I didn't gossip. You gave me a burden.
I
Yeah,
couldn't
because
carry it.
something we are ready to go and share with other people. Well, some of them they don't even understand.
No.
They never pass through that situation. You expect them to understand you.
Very
from
difficult.
way-
Indeed, that's I think something very, very important.
Somebody
Some
lost their
people do
mother.
not understand the
They
problems
don't.
you're giving
They
them.
don't.
They'll either it will be too much of a burden for them, or they'll give you the wrong advice.
I don't advise.
In fact, some of them don't even have
They
any
don't
advice
even
to
have-
give you. They run away because
Yeah.
Because in this age, everyone is wise.
it's wise. We are
Yeah,
wise in our
everyone
own
knows.
So you get
sense.
the wrong
Exactly.
advice.
I mean,
So you have to be very careful.
telling a pregnant woman that I understand your pain.
Imagine. I'll bite you. Like, do you understand now?
I keep wanting to end this, but there are nuggets.
The
every time.
nuggets coming up.
No, but I feel like we really have to dive into these topics. I think I'm really proud that we've been given the opportunity to come and meet together and have these different viewpoints. I think we would definitely be having more of these and have these type of directions.
Very necessary.
But this is Smile and Love. Our main aim, our main goal is so that at the end of the day you can smile and you can love. When it comes to traumatic events, we understand there are many traumatic things that can happen, many things that can cause trauma. We also need to understand that what's not your trauma doesn't mean it's not someone else's trauma. Have grace, have patience for people. And those going through trauma, be intentional about healing yourself, going through processes, making yourself busy. Also, watch how you behave, because your actions might affect or traumatize other people. So from us, we'll be ending here today. We'll be joining each other soon. Look forward to the next topic. This is the part that I like. Like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment in the section below. In fact, yes, if you did not agree with anything, this is something I've been seeing people doing. Huh? If you did not agree with anything, or if you want to add something to the topic, please, we are not perfect, neither are we professors in this field, you know. So if you have something to share, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. Share this with people. Give us your comments. If you want us to talk about something next time, let us know. For us, it's smile and love.